the beloved video game loading screen. It's the perfect opportunity to check your phone or make some instant ramen while your game takes its sweet time to load. Loading screens in video games are often seen as a necessary evil, as they can be a bit frustrating and a tedious interruption to your marathon of button mashing madness. But not all is lost during those precious 15 seconds of gameplay you missed. While loading times have decreased over the years due to the progression of technology, they are still a necessary part of gaming. Developers have found ways to make loading screens more enjoyable and even a vital part of the game experience. So sit back, relax, as I go through some of my personal favorite video game loading screens. Heavy Rain is a 2010 interactive drama and action-adventure game developed by Quantic Dream and published by Sony Computer Entertainment that's about as emotionally draining as a therapy session with your ex. One of the most interesting things about this game is the loading screen that appears when you attempt to install it digitally. Instead of the usual boring loading message, you will get a tutorial on how to make an origami crane. The origami loading screen is a creative way to engage the player and give them a hands-on experience with the game's themes before they even start playing. It's a simple yet effective way to create a connection between the player and the game's story. This loading screen provides a step-by-step instruction on how to make an origami crane, starting with a square piece of paper. The instructions are pretty clear and they're easy to follow, and the final result is a beautifully crafted origami crane. Now, the origami crane is a significant motif throughout the game, and it's featured prominently in the story, and is even on the game's box art. The crane is a symbol of hope and transformation, and it's used to represent the game's main themes of love, loss, and redemption. Or maybe it's just something to distract you from the fact that you've been waiting for the game to start for the last 10 minutes. Assassin's Creed. The loading screen is a unique and fun feature that sets the series apart from other games. It's a great way to keep the player engaged and excited. It gives you the chance to take full control of your character and run around in an endless void. And let's be honest, we all spend more time running around in circles than we like to admit. I absolutely adore these loading screens, as they make me feel like I'm getting teleported to a whole other dimension. Granted, that's what pretty much the entire plot of Assassin's Creed revolves around. One of the coolest aspects of this loading screen is the freedom it gives the player. There are no limits nor boundaries, and it's pretty much the calm before the storm. It's a perfect warm-up exercise that helps players get into the right mindset that they're about to dive into. The Darkness is a first-person shooter game developed by Starbreeze Studios that'll make you want to sleep with the lights on. And it takes a unique approach that adds to the game's overall atmosphere and tone with the loading screen. During the loading screens, players are treated to an eerie and unsettling vibe. They also serve a narrative purpose, providing backstory and character development for the game's protagonist, Jackie Estacado. Through these loading screens, players can learn about Jackie's troubled past and his connection to the demonic force through his monologues.
I never had a life that was predictable. But what happened to me today? That's why I need you, Jenny. You're the only one I can count on.
It's a fun and cool way to pass the time when the game's loading. It adds depth and context to the game's story and even sets the stage for the horror-filled gameplay that's to come. Let's talk about a loading screen that actually aids you gameplay-wise. The Demon Fang loading screen for Okami, specifically for the PS2 as it was removed in later versions. During this loading screen, players are treated to an interactive experience where they can actually grind for demon fangs. By mashing the X button, players can create these paw prints on the loading screen, and if they manage to create at least 50 paw prints before the loading is complete, they'll be rewarded with a demon fang, which is a rare and valuable currency in Okami that can be used to purchase various items and upgrades. By allowing players to earn a demon fang during the loading screen, Okami gives players an early advantage that can make the rest of the game a bit easier, albeit even if it's a tiny amount. Get ready to dive deep into the underwater world of Rapture and uncover its dark secrets, one loading screen at a time. The Bioshock franchise has these loading screens in which players are showcased the abandoned dystopia of Rapture that adds to the game's overall atmosphere and tone of the early 1940s. making the experience feel more like a movie than a video game. Also, the hints at the bottom that describe how to fully utilize abilities is also a great touch. Let me tell you something about the Dragon Ball Z fighting games. They have the best loading screens. I'm talking about some real fan service here. If you're a true fan, you'll be rewarded with your knowledge with some hilarious and awesome references that'll have you feeling like Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at stuff. I mean, come on. The developers could have just thrown in a boring old progress bar and a spinning Dragon Ball, but nope, they went above and beyond with these fantastic loading screens. You get to grow Cybermen, climb Korin's tower with Kid Goku, and even do one-handed push-ups with Vegeta. And don't even get me started on the struggle that Yamcha goes through just to conjure up the Spirit Ball. But my personal favorite one has to be Mystic Gohan, pulling out the Z-Sword. It's like a parody of those overly dramatic anime moments, and I love it. So yeah, Dragon Ball Z fighting games are definitely where it's at when it comes to loading screens. They'll have you feeling like a true fan, and it makes the wait time for the game totally worth it. Alright, gather around folks. I've got a tale about a game that even your grandma probably hasn't heard of. It's the Fantastic Four beat 'em up for the PlayStation 1. It's so bad that it's actually kind of good. But what's really good is the loading screen minigame that nobody talks about. It's like if F-Zero GX and GTA 2 had a 16-bit love child, and it's surprisingly fun. I mean, I spent more time playing this minigame than I did the actual game. And let's be honest, Fantastic Four is just one of those Marvel things that never gets adapted right. So you might as well enjoy the loading screen minigame while you can. Loading screens have come a long way from the days of staring at a boring progress bar. They have become an essential part of the game experience, and even the opportunity to catch up on some laundry. Who knows what the future holds for loading screens? Maybe one day we'll be able to play an entire game on them while we wait for the real game to load. Thanks for watching.